preterite tense and how to form the imperfect tense, and we spoke about how they are both past tenses. Now we're going to talk about when you use one or the other. Preterite tense is going to get across the main idea, what began and ended, and what happened or occurred. Basically, if you are looking at an action in the past and it happened once, if it's done, if it's over, if it's a completed past action, you're going to use the preterite tense. The imperfect tense is going to be used for actions that used to happen, like I used to play baseball, things like that. And it's also going to cover background information. Background information can include age, location, weather, attitude, emotions, physical state, time, and progressive actions. You can use the acronym AWETLAP or AWETLAPP to remember when we use the imperfect tense in terms of background information. Besides being able to conjugate the preterite and imperfect tense, we are now going to be looking to see when we use the preterite and imperfect tense, and when you make a decision saying, I believe this verb should be in the imperfect tense and not the preterite tense, you're going to have to use these reasons or this type of reasoning to defend your choice. For example, if you wanted to look at the following sentences, I moved across the country. My family and I moved across the country. That is a completed past action. It happened once. How many times did I move? Just once, so it is going to be preterite tense. My dad got a new job. Same idea. He got a new job. He got it once. It's over. It's done. It was an instantaneous thing when he received that job. It's also going to be preterite tense. It's what happened or occurred. Again, you can see in part 3, or question number 3, that the used to is going to tip you off that it's going to be imperfect, because we're not saying exactly when my sister started and ended those summers with my aunt. We're just saying that it used to happen, so imperfect. And then one summer I went to Mexico with my family. Again, a completed past action. It's over, it's done, I went, and now I'm telling you about it. More examples, if you wanted to say my grandpa used to visit, again, seeing the used to is always a key to let you know that you're going to be using the imperfect tense. My brother was born in 1996, over and done. How many times can he be born? Just once. Completed past action, preterite tense. I went to the hospital to see him the next day. Again, that's an action, a completed past action. It occurred once. How many times did I go to the hospital? Just once, another preterite tense. But then after that, we used to play. You can see the used to tipping you off that it needs to be conjugated in the imperfect. In addition to overall reasonings, a wet lap, completed past action, those types of reasoning, there's going to be key words that you can see in a sentence that are going to tip you off whether it's preterite or imperfect. For example, if you see the word ayer in a sentence, that's a dead giveaway that it needs to be in the preterite tense. As in, yesterday I went to school, completed past action, and the ayer tips that off. Other words, anoche, last night, el mes pasado, el año pasado, la semana pasada, if you wanted to say last week, last month, last year. Those are going to be completed past actions as well. De repente, suddenly. Suddenly, I moved. Again, a completed past action. On Monday, el lunes, or on any day of the week, if you wanted to say, on Tuesday, I went to the park. Completed past action. Una vez, one time. That's just very obvious that if preterite tense talks about one-time actions, that's saying one time I went to the park is going to be preterite as well. For the imperfect tense, words that are going to kick it off to let you know that imperfect is going to be used. A veces, sometimes. Once in a while, de vez en cuando. Cada día, cada semana, cada mes, cada año. Each day, each week, each month, each year. Mientras is going to be while. We'll talk about mientras sentences in a little bit. Frecuentemente, frequently. Los lunes is on Mondays. And then siempre and nunca is going to be always and never. So you can see preterite keywords are very specific. They're saying things like yesterday, last night, last week, suddenly, on Monday, one time. Very concrete, definite periods of time. Where you can see the imperfect tense is a little bit more vague. Sometimes, once in a while, each summer, frequently, on Mondays, always, never. Where it's not giving a specific time, it's just kind of alluding to the past. Some examples that you can see with those keywords, if you wanted to say, yesterday I went to the market and I bought a gold necklace, two conjugated verbs, yo fui and compré, because we have our keyword ayer in the sentence. Every day, todos los días, is going to be a keyword for the imperfect tense. Cada día, todos los días, each day, every day, same thing. Todos los días, mis amigos y yo jugábamos instead of jugamos en el patio de recreo. 2 days ago, hace 2 días, very specific time ago, she cried for 2 hours. And then we see the word always. Siempre is a keyword for the imperfect, so we're going to conjugate caminar in the ellos form in the imperfect tense. Siempre caminaban a la escuela. More examples. And again, you're going to see a lot of examples in this. Feel free to come back and review them. The more examples that you see, the better. With the preterite and imperfect tense, it will eventually catch on. If it doesn't right away, that's okay. Just make sure you see as many examples as possible, and then you'll start to be able to make the correct choices and defend your reasonings also. Used to watch on Tuesdays. So again, now we have 2 reasons why it's imperfect. We have the used to, which is one of our reasons that we choose imperfect. And then we have this on Tuesdays, or los martes, which is going to be a key word for imperfect. I studied for Spanish last night. Again, how many times did I study? I studied once. When did I study? Last night. So you have a main idea or a completed past action, and you have the keyword anoche, pointing you towards the preterite tense. Last week, concrete period of time, meaning that it's going to be preterite tense. So we're going to do mi familia y yo dormimos instead of dormíamos. Never, keyword for the imperfect. Used to, another reason that we're going to use imperfect. So disobey, desobedecer is going to be imperfect. Yo nunca les desobedecía a mis padres. Last Friday, finite period of time. El viernes pasado, mis amigos se fueron de la fiesta a las 10. Preterite tense. Used to is going to be imperfect. Also, it's going to be a part of a wet lap. This would be an attitude. He was mischievous, that's his attitude. So we say that's his attitude, and we have the used to pointing us towards imperfect. And if you look at some more examples, again, you have to look for both keywords, and then you also have to look for the basics that we talked about at the beginning of the presentation to decide whether it's going to be preterite or imperfect. You can see those are the 2 conjugations of hacer. When we're talking about weather, we're going to use a wet lap to make our decision, making it hacía sol, imperfect. Anoche, keyword for the preterite tense. Toqué. Mis amigos, or mi amiga y yo estábamos or estuvimos muy triste porque nuestro amigo fue al hospital. This one we do not see a keyword, but again, we're talking about physical state or attitude, so we're going to use imperfect. La tormenta is going to be the storm. Empezaba or empezó a las 7:30. This one, although it is weather, we're not saying the storm used to start at 7:30. We're saying it started, it's over and done. We have a finite period of time. It happened at exactly 7:30, so this one is going to be empezó, even though it's talking about weather. Age. Yo tenía 8 años. Age is going to be one of our reasons for imperfect. And then fui a Disney World. How many times did I go to Disney World? I was 8 years old. Age is going to be imperfect. When I went to Disney World, I went to Disney World is going to be completed and over. De pequeña, siempre. Siempre is a keyword for imperfect. Iba. El año pasado is a keyword for the preterite tense. Fue. Princess Diana era or fue una mujer muy bonita y generosa. Again, this is going to be a description of her. So we are going to use era. Yo preparé una ensalada cuando mi madre llegaba o llegó a la casa. These type of sentences are what you're going to start to see a lot of as well. We call them interrupting sentences, where something is going on or was going on when all of a sudden something interrupted it. So what was going on? I was preparing a salad when all of a sudden my mom arrived home. For the first part, after the quando, you can see the quando in the sentence. After the quando, you are going to use the preterite tense. Interrupting sentences have a preterite tense conjugation and a imperfect tense conjugation. The way to break it down is to say what was going on is going to be imperfect when all of a sudden the preterite tense interrupted it. You can also think of yo preparaba as a progressive action. I was preparing a salad when my mom arrived home. And that's a completed past action. So again, when you see a quando in a sentence that is an interrupting sentence, you have an imperfect verb being interrupted by a preterite tense verb. I was doing this when all of a sudden this happened, preterite tense. And then finally, we're talking about time. Eran las tres. So we use a wet lap to use that. And then again, we see the quando in the sentence. And since we have our imperfect in eran, after the quando is going to come salió, preterite tense. More examples. Ayer is a key word for preterite tense, so we're going to say yo compré. Todos los veranos, all of the summers or each summer, is going to be a key word for imperfect tense. El año pasado, key word for preterite tense. Mis padres pasaron. El lunes, key word for preterite tense. So, ¿qué tuvieron que hacer? What did they have to do? Generalmente is another key word that you can write down for the imperfect tense. It's going to be a key word for bebía. Again, it kind of follows that vague, generally, frequently, once in a while, sometimes vibe of the imperfect tense keywords. El domingo is a specific time on Sunday, preterite tense. Time, eran las dos, and hacía calor is going to be temperature or weather. Cada día, Silvia limpiaba. Cada día is a key word for the imperfect tense. So each day, Sylvia used to clean her bedroom before leaving for school. Did you play tennis yesterday? Yesterday is a keyword. Ayer. Anteayer, another keyword. The day before yesterday. Durmió. Nicole durmió en el sofá porque estaba enferma. You're going to see that in this sentence you're saying Nicole slept on the couch because she was sick. The first verb is she slept, meaning durmió. However, in the same sentence, you can see that the estar is conjugated in the imperfect tense, even though the keyword anteayer would lead you to think it otherwise. This is because estaba is technically a physical state, talking about she was sick. This is a little bit open for interpretation. Depending on your reasoning, sometimes preterite or imperfect, there's a gray area and it can go either way. But for this unit, we're just going to focus on concrete reasoning. Another interrupting sentence, you see the quando in the sentence. So you have something being interrupted. The class was singing Old MacDonald. That's what was happening, progressive action, when the teacher, the prettiest teacher in the world, Miss G, entered. So Miss G entering the room is interrupting the singing of Old MacDonald. Another interrupting sentence, you see the quando. I was talking on the phone when, all of a sudden, my brother interrupted my talking on the phone by opening the door. So your progressive action, imperfect tense, and then after the quando, you see the switch to the preterite tense. Same thing again, you see the quando interrupting. I was playing with dolls when my brother threw them in the trash. Him throwing them in the trash interrupts me playing with the dolls. I was washing the floor when Enrique pushed me. What was he? Enrique pushing me interrupts me washing the floor. Another one, cuando. I was kissing the hand of a beautiful woman when her very angry boyfriend appeared. His appearing interrupted my kissing. I was studying when Miguel turned off the light. Another interrupting sentence. I was taking notes when Sophia screamed at me. Interrupting sentence. I was exercising in class when the bell rang. The bell ringing interrupted my exercising. This one has to do with time, so we're going to have eran las 7:30 cuando vine a la escuela. It was 7:30 when I came to school. Another interrupting sentence. Miguel no fue a la escuela. He did not go to school porque no quería. You see the switch to the imperfect tense? And again, this is going to be a description, kind of an emotional state that he's working with. And also, querer in the imperfect tense is going to mean to want, while querer in the preterite tense is going to mean to try. We'll cover specific endings in the same way that saber means to find out in the preterite tense. Certain verbs have different meanings as well, but we'll cover that later on. Ayer, keyword for the preterite tense. So la profesora nos dijo ayer. El lunes, keyword for the preterite tense. Mi hermano condujo. He drove our car to school on Monday. When I was 6 years old, age, going to be a keyword or a key idea for imperfect tense. My mom and I bought a new dog. That's a one-time completed past action. More interrupting sentences. I was in class when the teacher brought us candy. Maria was talking when it started to rain. Another interrupting sentence. It was sunny when my friends and I went to the playa, or to the beach, forgive me. I did not do well, completed past action. I did not do well in the test because I had a fever. Tenía fiebre is going to be a physical state. Todos los días, keyword for the imperfect tense. Every day, Mariana and I brought an apple to our teacher. Yesterday, keyword, so we're going to say ayer leí. Every day, keyword for the imperfect tense. Todos los días mis amigos y yo construíamos. 2 days ago, specific period of time, preterite tense. Hace 2 días, María vino a la escuela tarde. They always used to bring their lunches to school. We have the used to triggering the preterite or the imperfect tense, and the always being a key word for the imperfect tense. So siempre llevaban imperfect tense. Used to, again, is going to be a imperfect sentence. Mi madre y yo creíamos en fantasmas. I looked for my Spanish homework last night. Last night is a very specific period of time. So busqué mi tarea de español anoche, note the cargar czar. And last week, a specific period of time, la semana pasada, preterite tense, mi familia y yo condujimos a Minneapolis. Never keyword for the imperfect tense. You can see the imperfect quería. Last Friday, keyword for the preterite hicieron. My brother and I used to play every day. Every day is a keyword for the imperfect jugaba.